Steve. All right, we're gonna call the meeting of May 18th, 2023 for the town of Manlius CBA to order. We will start by the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
All members of the board are present and accounted for. If we could, we have two different meetings worth of minutes to approve. So if we could start with the meeting from March 13th, 2023. Did everybody have a chance to review the draft minutes that Debbie sent out? Does anybody have any questions? Can we get a motion to approve them?
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Warren,
A second.
Carrie seconds, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right. Now the minutes for April 20th, 2023.
Just on page 4, there's a fourth one down, because I'm listed as giving a motion and I wasn't here, so.
What's that? You got that corrected?
Yeah, okay, that's it.
Okay. Anybody else have any other changes that need to be made? Okay. With that being said, can we get a motion to approve those minutes with the noted change?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes with the noted change.
All right. 30 second.
A second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. All right. Yeah, that was actually something I was thinking about. So this is quite a busy month, as it usually is for us at the ZBA. So because of the fact that I believe we had 9 on our agenda. So as we weren't making people sit here for 4 hours, there are a couple of the agenda items have been moved to the the June 1st meeting. So we'll be having a meeting on June 1st, 2023 at 6:30. The notices have been posted and the applicants that are for those items have been notified. All right. So with that being said, agenda item number 4 is for Frank and Lynn Mikowski. Is it Mikowski? Are they here?
They are online.
Okay, perfect. All right, so 8005 Peck Road in Kirkville. Tax map ID is 042.02-03.6. And they're looking for 2 variances for the construction of a 30 by 40 by 12 foot pole barn.
I'm gonna allow them to talk now.
Okay, can we get a motion to open the public hearing? And actually, we need to first waive the notice. Yep.
Reading of the
Of the reading of the notice, yes.
It's waived the notice. Legal notice.
All right, so you make that. Warren, did you second? I'll second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, and then can we get a motion to open the public hearing for agenda item number 4?
I'll make a motion to open public hearing. for agenda item 4.
30 seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right, Frank and Lynn, can you hear us?
Yes,
Okay, if you could please explain to the board what it is that you're looking to do and the reason that you need the variances.
we would like to build the pole barn in the back corner of our yard. And we were told the variance that we had to build it 40 feet from the back of our property and 20 feet from the side. And we didn't really want to do that because it'd be pretty much close to the middle of our yard. So we'd like to do it 15 feet from the side and 20 feet from the back.
Can you pull that up, Tom?
Yep.
All right, bear us a second while he pulls it up. All right, so as you can see, can you guys see that on
Yes.
Zoom?
Yes.
Okay. So where that's drawn in the bottom left-hand corner there, that's where you're proposing to have it placed, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
Okay, and that's requiring those two variances because you're basically putting it in that far back corner of the lot?
Yes.
Okay. And if you were to go within the required setbacks, you would, you're saying that would go too far into your property?
Yes, yes.
Now, one of the questions I have is, what is the plan for the shed that you already have on the property?
It will eventually be removed after the pole barn's built.
It's going to be removed?
Yes.
Okay. And what is the use for the shed or the pole barn that you're building?
It'll be used for two cars, two classic cars.
Okay. For two classic cars?
Yeah.
So are you then planning to also build a driveway?
No, we're not gonna put a driveway in. We'll just drive across the yard.
Okay. As long as it's not wet that day, right?
No,
Correct.
I know that area. It can be quite wet at times.
not too much in the summertime unless we have, one of those really, really bad storms through.
Okay. Claire? Yes. Do you have any questions?
I do not have any questions.
Carrie?
No,
Vicky?
I see you got some doors on this unit.
Some doors, yes,
The doors are on the 40-foot side.
yes,
And 1, 2, 3 overhead doors.
correct,
I'm gonna read
There's
that.
a man door. Basically facing the house.
correct,
There's none on the facing no windows or doors facing the rear lot line.
correct. There-
And nothing, oh, you got one window facing the sideline.
One window on the same side as the door, which would be facing the house.
Yeah, you point to one in the back, that would be your sidewalk. Anyway. Obviously,
Oh, I see, yeah, I didn't see that. That's what the builder
Yeah,
put
that-
on there. He put one in the back too.
Mhm.
Yeah, we'll probably do that.
yeah, obviously, you're gonna run power out there to the building.
Correct.
Yeah.
Are you gonna heat it or anything?
No, we're not,
No.
no.
No heating, okay. Yeah. Okay. The building itself is all gonna be the same color, metal, and so on.
It'll be two
It's gonna be
colors.
Two colors.
Go ahead, explain what you're doing there.
they don't give.
I don't have the picture here.
Well, you got a color on the roof and a color on the siding.
Yeah, there's gonna be two colors on the siding.
Oh,
Yeah, we're just looking for a picture. There it is.
I don't-
Okay,
Can you see?
Can you pull them up on the screen? Tom?
No, I don't believe that.
Okay.
Okay, I can describe it.
I can try and screen share, I can try and promote this.
is it gonna match the house in color or what's it gonna
No.
be?
no.
No.
It's gonna have a cupola on top with a weather vane. It's gonna have a red roof and you're gonna have, I think it's like 3-foot wainscoting from the ground up,
All right,
that's gonna be red. And from that point to the peak of the roof, it's gonna be either like a beige or a white color.
everybody cover that?
I heard that, yeah.
Yeah.
It's already.
Um, Yeah, okay. I'm all through the questions, my question.
You're gonna have a gravel floor, not a cement slab.
No, there'll be cement inside.
So it'll be a slab. Okay.
Go here. All that, all the way in the time.
All right, so we need variance 5.
I don't, I engage.
Okay, Warren, do you have any other questions?
Did we hear from any of the neighbors?
Yep, I'm gonna read that here in a minute. So we did receive a letter, from, Cheryl Katzenstein. This is to the zoning board of the town of Manlius, property owners on both sides of the proposed variance. We believe that there is not any reason to grant the variance because there is not a hardship. Per my conversation with the town of Manlius zoning officer, we believe that the building could be built, meeting the setback requirements of the town of Manlius without the variance. The adjoining land that we own is agricultural now, but future plans for the property are unknown at this time. In answering the criteria questions for the variance application, question number 1, the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by some other feasible method, was answered no, but should be yes, as the building can be built meeting normal setbacks. Question 2, whether the variance will result in an undesirable change to the neighborhood. Could be answered yes, depending on what the building is to be used for, which is unknown at this point. And again, I'm just reading what this letter says. We'll get to the R5 questions in just a minute. Question 5, whether the alleged difficulty was self-created, could also be answered yes. No building exists now and one could still be built, in our opinion, without the variance. And he goes on to say, he was a member of the town of Sullivan ZBA for many years. Decisions as members were to adhere to zoning requirements whenever possible, regardless of the applicant's personal preference, unless a true hardship was proven, which didn't always guarantee approval. In conclusion, we are opposed to the granting of this variance. Please read these concerns at the zoning board meeting tonight, May 18th, 2023. Thank you, Ken and Cheryl Katzenstein. So their property, did you just look that up on where exactly? They're that farmland that backs up to you?
Yes, that's actually on both sides where we want the variance. It's to the side of our house and behind it.
Right, it's like a L shape behind your lot, okay.
Correct.
Okay, at this time, theirs is just farmland, yeah.
How far would the house be from the barn?
What was that?
You're talking about if they weren't to,
Yeah, I mean, it's people who wrote the letter.
There's nothing.
there's not, it's vacant farmland at the moment.
Oh, what, oh, they don't live there?
Right.
Oh. okay.
Well, they do, the farmland does get farmed. And last year they had corn out there.
Yeah.
This year, I think they're gonna be putting in soy because they alternate it every other year.
Mhm.
And the land is rented to farmers because the owners live in Florida.
Okay.
Tim, can I see that picture?
This one?
That one.
Or this one?
Yeah, sure.
If we were to put the pole barn, with the setbacks without a variance, it would pretty much be in the middle of our backyard. And we really didn't want it in the middle of our backyard.
Let's go. Let's go about here. Right. About here.
What is this?
Roughly.
Tim, what is this?
No.
Next to, that's their. It's their property. They want to put it here.
And she said that, so you said that you are gonna be getting rid of the other shed that you have currently?
Yeah, the shed that's currently there, we will eventually get rid of that after the pole barn's built.
Okay.
Warren, did you take a peek, the house next to, behind here, is that a shed as well? I couldn't.
It looks like a big chicken.
You know what I'm talking about? On the property too. Do you know what's on the property, two doors, like,
To the right.
to the right, behind their house? Is that a pole barn or is that a chicken coop or do you know what that is?
Oh, the building next to us?
Yes.
It's a garage, it's like a garage. It was original to the farm years ago, and then they left that there and they put the house in. So it's basically a garage. It's got, storage and garage kind of stuff in it.
Oh, okay. Which house, okay, which one has the garage? You talking about, maybe.
The house right next door to us,
No.
when you're looking from the road, it's to the right.
Two doors down with between the house, next to the house with the pool.
The house with the pool. That
Right,
will-
but they took that out.
Two doors though. Next door did have a pool. It's now gone. And then next to that, there's a lot that belongs to the people that's the next people down. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, it's like a bluish gray.
Bluish gray. I'm not,
It has hedges in between. There's like. Well, that's not there. Yeah, that's there. Yeah, that's what she, yeah. There's hedges to the, you know, not. Find that better? Yeah. Yeah, I think that is.
I've got a question.
Oh, that's
Yes,
no.
that was
Okay.
good to go back and see what we had for questions.
The
Is there
cars,
hedges?
the cars would enter this pole barn not from the side, is that correct?
yes, yes, they would enter from the side, the long side,
Okay, the long side, so that's 30 feet wide according to this, right?
40.
40.
What the entrance would be 30 wide, if they're coming in this way.
Yeah.
Okay,
You got three doors there.
right,
Yeah, where the three doors are, that's the 40-foot side.
correct, okay.
Okay.
Are you gonna raise this slab? Let's say above the ground, above the existing ground?
I'm not sure what the contractor is gonna do. I think that would be left up to the contractor. You know, according to the building codes. Or the building, design.
Well, do you understand my question?
Yeah, you want to know if it's going to be higher than the
Ground level.
ground level.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind a little bit, but are you gonna be a foot, 2 foot?
Oh, no,
No.
Average ground?
No,
it's probably going to be pretty much level to the ground, just maybe a tiny bit higher. So water doesn't run in.
Basically, yeah, you want a little bit higher, but not,
Yeah.
right.
but,
Yeah, it's definitely not gonna be, I don't think it'd be any more than 6 inches. In my opinion.
okay. Yeah, so it's not gonna be a foot or 2 foot above.
Now, another
Oh.
question I have, you guys are on septic there. Where's the septic?
In the front of the house.
Okay, thank you.
I'm just looking at what the contractor wrote up here, and he did say install 6 inches of gravel to building site and 24 feet in front of the building, but, so I'm guessing that gravel will, raise it up.
Okay,
Well, yes.
so one of the questions I would have is if you were to come, your side yard variance that you're looking for, and you came over that 5 feet and you didn't need to go for that second variance, it would just bring it over a couple more feet into your property and a little bit further away from that other lot.
the side is 20, so.
It would come over 5 more feet. It would be,
Right,
then you wouldn't need that first
wouldn't need
variance.
that variance.
That one could go away without putting it necessarily into the middle of your yard.
Right.
Would that be something you guys would be amenable to?
I don't know. We would end up with 5 more feet of unusable land because of the line of trees there. I mean, you're not gonna be able to do anything between the pole barn and the trees. And already you're gonna have a space there and you know, it's pretty much unusable except for mowing it.
Right, I mean, and remember too, part of our charge here is the ZBA is to also look at, is there another feasible way to do something without having to grant the variance?
Right.
So that's why we're asking.
We would prefer not to, let's put it that way.
Before the public hearing is closed, Sherry Katzen has her hand raised, so I think.
Okay, yep, I saw that up there. I was gonna get to that in a minute.
I just want them to know that we're not forgetting about them up there.
Now so looking at it, Tom, when you've been there, going over, if you went over the 5 feet and got rid of the side yard setback variance, what does that create for? So that basically right now, the way that you have it proposed, that tree line is right against your property line, correct?
No,
Well, there might be like 1.5 feet past the trees towards the field.
Okay. So how much space when that shed is built, because I couldn't figure that out when I went by there, how much space would there be between the shed and that tree line, right, as it's proposed right now?
oh, I don't know. Was it like maybe 4 or 5 feet? Maybe
From where?
from the tree line to where you want to build it.
Right, very good 5 foot.
So then you go another 5 feet, you'd have about 10 feet of space there.
Yeah, that's,
I understand.
Unusable.
I know it would be unusable, but you got 5 feet there right now, so, what are your guys' thoughts on?
Would like to hear.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that in a second. I wanted to discuss this before we.
I think it's a
Claire
good
has a
idea.
I have a question for them.
Yes.
My question is,
Excellent.
if you're standing in the road looking at your house, there's 2 houses down. What is the structure that's in the middle of their yard? It's quite large.
so it's screened in,
It's like a shed with a screened in area attached to it.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's quite large though.
yeah, it is.
And it's in the middle of their yard.
It's in the middle of their yard.
Yeah.
I mean, this one's got a big
That one there.
big garage. All right, can we, bring her live so we can,
Yeah, I'm gonna mute them.
and what was the first name?
Sherry,
Okay,
Sure.
Cheryl, she's the one that wrote the letter.
Hello?
Hi, can
Oh.
you hear us okay?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. This is Ken Katzenstein. I'm Sherry's husband.
Hi, Ken. Go.
We are the owners of the property adjoining this property,
Mhm.
and we do oppose the variances because it's a self-induced problem. They have the ability to build their building, to town of Manlius code, and it's kind of their choice. And then sitting in, on the board I sat on, we would just say, you want to build a building, you put it on your property. We're not gonna, there's no reason that the building can't be built. I don't see any, there's not a setback that, to another power line or a closeness to another building that would be, something that would give a hardship. So you're not solving a hardship, you're just kind of allotting a preference of where to put a building.
Does anybody have
I
any-
don't know what does you have any questions for me?
That's what I was just gonna check. Does anybody have any questions for him?
No.
You know, I don't, it's certainly in town of Sullivan. I'm sorry.
This, your plan for that lot that of yours is to keep that agricultural, right?
Well, at the present time, yes, we are residents of Florida now. We do own quite a few. We own some properties in town of Manlius. We own some properties yet left in town of Sullivan. You know, if somebody come in and said, I want to, you know, do X with it, make it into a Amazon warehouse, you know, we would be open to that, and they'd be seeing you guys a lot more than you know, you'd probably like. But you know, there's nothing in the works at all. You know, thought we were just to build homes, and people thought we were going to build homes on it 30 years ago, and you can see what happened to it in the meantime. It's still agricultural land. So, you know, in my preference, I'd like to keep it that way, but you know, we don't know what the future is going to bring.
Well, I can say an Amazon warehouse does not fit within the character of that neighborhood.
No, that might be true. You know, but you know, I don't know. I don't have any idea. I could see, you know, residential housing someday onto it. Yes, you know, I don't know.
So, KP, you got a,
Question, how is this gonna be detriment to your property if they build a thing within a few feet of their line? I mean, right now they're 15 feet.
You know,
What's the difference?
I
to
would
your-
have to say that it would be something that I can only go by my experience with town of Manlius, but we would get the next question if somebody at town of Sullivan, but we would get the next person that come in with the same, you know, same kind of idea to move something closer to a line and say, why can't I do it? You let them do it. And, you know, so.
Is this gonna deter or take away the value of your property if they put the barn 15 feet inside theirs? You know? You understand?
I kind of understand your question, but also on the other side, can anybody walk in to the town for a variance and say, I have no hardship, but I would rather push it off to, you know, I'd rather keep it out of my sight, but maybe put it in somebody else's site in the future.
Well, one of the reasons we can vote against this would be if there was you know, you had a hardship from having them build that barn there. So is this, the fact that it's over there near your property,
With any pole building, it depends on those uses. Their particular use right now might be to put collectors' cars into it or classic cars. The next person that purchases that piece of property could use it for X, whatever, you know, and then all of a sudden the garbage starts building up around it, and it's just an eyesore. So, you know, we
somebody could buy your property and turn it into a dump, I guess, if they got to it. So I mean, right now, I don't see if this is gonna deter from your property. You evidently have a nice piece of property, and that's great.
but the next person that buys my property and moves into it would have to be in front of your board if they were not going to meet the standard of the town. If they said, so at that point you would say, you know, is that building going to deter, you know, what you want to see?
But right now, I don't see where this building is gonna take away from your property. It's just a question of being too close. But it's not.
Is it too much of a problem to put it within the requirements of the town of Manlius, which is a 20-foot setback and a 40-foot setback? Then, you know, then it would be, you know, it would make a difference. I don't see why.
we're gonna discuss that. I mean, obviously, if that was the case and they were gonna do that, they wouldn't be here before us, so. But we'll
Yes.
discuss it here in just a minute.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Yeah, no, we
Thank you.
appreciate you coming on. Thank you for your input. All right, further discussion?
Any more questions? Close it.
I'm just wondering why two classic cars would not need that much space. If the purpose is for the cars, You could fit 3 cars in there.
Also, if they eliminate the shed, whatever they've got in there. So. I mean, it's a the pole barn itself, there are others right in that area. It does fit within the character of that neighborhood. I mean, it's not anything outside of the normal realm of what people do. I mean, if you look here, this house right here, the garage is bigger than the house.
Yeah.
And there's, most of these structures have some sort of additional accessory building.
Two
In this
houses over.
general area. Along Pack, I grew up right over that way. Not that that matters,
They
but,
said that the folks next to them did not have a problem with this.
right, have we received any other comments back or any that you're aware of, Tom? Nope. Okay. All right, do you have any other questions, comments? Any further discussion, KP?
No.
Carrie?
Nope.
No,
Close it.
All right, yeah, why don't we go ahead and get a motion to close the public hearing?
Close the public hearing.
Actually, before we do that, does anybody in the audience have any questions, comments, concerns? I'll give you a chance as well. All right, with there being none, make a motion.
Motion to close the public hearing.
All right, you second? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. So now what we'll do is we'll have a little bit of discussion ourselves and go through the 5 questions. This is not coughing as bad as last one. All right, so. One of the first things, I do think that we should have a condition that the other shed is removed. On the variance. I also, and please tell me what you think otherwise, but I think that we should recommend that they go over the 5 feet and eliminate the side yard setback
I can see that, yeah.
and keep it where it's located with the other variance, but. I agree, their house does sit quite a bit back on their property. I mean, they're more than halfway back,
Right.
right? So they don't have a whole lot of backyard space as it is. They back up to agricultural, yes, it could be something down the road. But it's not like they're directly on the property line with a house that's 5 feet behind them, or something like that. So with that being said, I'd recommend that we advise that we eliminate that one and move it over 5 feet.
So we have 20-foot amend the 20-foot sideline setback with a 20-foot rear setback.
If we recommend it not going over, it'd be just,
It would just be that rare 20 foot that they needed, so just one variance versus the 2.
Right?
So if you start on the criterion, you probably answer that right at the first one,
Yep.
if there's some other feasible.
Well, best to go through these. All right, so first question, whether the benefits sought to the applicant can be achieved by any other means, or is there any other way to achieve what they would like?
yep,
Yeah,
But with a lesser variance, so the other means is to do a lesser than what's requested.
correct.
or eliminate the side yard setback.
Eliminate the side yard,
And just grant, yeah.
right?
So that's the other feasible way, but they still need a
Okay,
variance.
let's go through the rest of the questions and we can discuss that. So, will the variance cause an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or the nearby properties?
No.
No, it fits within the character. Is the request substantial? The rear one? Yeah, it's more than half, I mean, it's half
Yeah, but it's again, within character,
within the character, yes.
so it's not
It only
2 feet off the lot line, it's still very reasonable off.
Right. All right, whether the request will have adverse physical or environmental effects on the neighborhood or the surrounding area?
No.
No. And then, whether the need for the variance is self-created,
Yeah.
so. Any further discussion?
I'm good.
Good.
Okay. All right, at this time, then I will, trying to think,
Well,
We had the condition on for the removal of the shed. You got that?
Mhm.
And then, so then the one would just be that rear 20 foot.
Yeah, the sideline.
So you would deny the request for the sideline variance, the grant?
Right, so you need to do two separate motions for that.
No.
Or you can do it as one, but with it in there. Okay. Do you have it?
I do.
Okay.
Bear with me, because I may. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that the zoning board grants a rear yard, okay, let me go through this. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that the zoning board
We'll do it right.
grants an existing rear yard side 15 that will need a variance of 10 feet to meet the required 25-year rear yard setback, but deny the variance with an existing side yard setback of 15 feet that will need a variance of 5 feet to meet the required 20 side yard setback for the property located at 8005 Peck Road, Kirkville, New York. Tax map 042-02-03.6 to Frank and Lynn McCloskey. McCloskey, with the condition that after it's built, the shed be, the
Existing shed.
existing shed be removed.
And what time period?
In a year,
1 year.
Doesn't time to build it. There's no delay.
Was it
It's on the contract.
2040?
That was gonna be one of my other questions, because I think you may have just said.
Did I get that
25.
wrong?
Yeah, it should be 40,
2040.
right?
20 variance, 20, 20 variance, 20 relief, 40 foot required.
Correct.
That was the side yard.
Okay,
that's the rear
The
yard.
rear.
That's the
Yeah,
rear.
that's what we said,
That's
I
the
believe
rear.
is the side, the
Oh,
rear is
oh,
the
oh.
20, 40.
Correct.
okay,
There should be.
You okay with that?
I'm okay with that.
Alright, so we have a second.
I make-
Claire seconds?
Yeah.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Alright, motion carries.
Okay,
Alright,
we have to close the hearing or anything there.
We did.
We covered all that stuff.
Yep.
Okay. Any other loose ends
no,
on this one?
not on this one.
Okay,
All right,
all right.
Alright,
that's done.
alright, agenda item number 5. This is for Matthew Ventura at 8190 Salt Springs Road in Manlands, tax map number 098-01-13.0. And they will need a height variance for the construction of a garage. Vera, is that you, sir? If you want to come up, we're gonna open up,
Here.
yeah, we're gonna have you, explain what you're looking to do here in just a second. Can we,
Yeah.
yeah, right at the podium. Can we get a motion to open the public hearing for this item?
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
50 seconds, all in favor? Aye, opposed, okay. So similar to the last applicant, if you could just explain what it is you're looking to do and also the reason that you will need the variance.
I'm building, I wanna build it 19 foot, I think it's 7/8 high and it's 17 foot is all you guys allowed, and I'm actually putting it right in the middle of my yard, so I don't have to have any other variances. I figured it's a lot easier to do that.
Saves on the extra steps.
Yeah,
All right, so. This is the one that had the little picture, that's right, okay. What is the use for the garage you're building, is it?
storage, same thing, cars, and I have motorcycles and stuff, and I already ripped down my shed that was there. To make room for it, because the shed was exactly where it was gonna go.
Okay, and the reason that you need the height variance, are you putting something in there that's,
Well, yeah, I just work on all that stuff, I just don't know what, I just want it taller.
so you're gonna have like a lift in there?
No, I'm not gonna lift it there, just for storage, to put storage rack and all kinds of stuff. I wanna try to, I can't go wider, so I just figured go up.
So you put one antique car over the other?
I haven't figured that out yet. I'd like to at some point.
Yeah,
One of those rotating things.
there you go, yeah. Now, have you considered, no, we're not into the questions yet.
We'll get there.
We'll get there, okay.
Okay. Like you said, your lot's fairly narrow, right?
Yeah.
So. Do we have a picture of this that we could pull up, Tom, on the screen?
I don't have the plans for this, I was just looking through that.
Or maybe the Google Earth view?
Oh, I thought you were looking for the construction document.
Did you get this?
No, because this one. I just want to pull it up on the screen while we're talking about it. Yeah, this one, the county map here is. They printed it on
Small.
yeah, a lot of, but that's okay. So this is gonna go, can you just show on the map there exactly where your constructed in proximity to your house?
Well, you can't, right where the shed is.
Right
So
there.
it's directly in line with, yeah, you can't even see it. All these trees I cut down. All these trees, because I didn't want them, or all these pine trees, all these trees cut down, it's gonna be directly right here.
Okay,
It's straight in line with the house, straight back 110 feet.
and are the doors are on,
The front
The
side,
front side?
so, because there's a gap in the stone wall right there, you can see, I would drive right in, there's a van door on the left and then a 12x12 garage door in front of it, facing the road.
okay. And that structure is coming down,
Yeah, it's already down, I pulled it out of the way and it fell down, it didn't make it.
and so you're sending that driveway down to the,
It's pretty just grass, I'm not gonna extend the driveway, that was
Okay.
$1 million. It's actually more than the building to build the driveway.
they're expensive, they're expensive. Okay. All right,
Questions?
let's start with the questions.
Have you considered dropping from a 412 to a 312 pitch?
No,
That obviously would lower the ridge line.
no, I wanted to do it because I wanted to be able to put a lock for storage. And I want to be able to crawl the cars underneath it at some point. And the pitch is for snow load, that's what the contractor, that's what they gave me.
Yeah, no, it's a good number. With a 412 pitch. Yeah, you're not gonna have much room up there, one way or the other, but, you know. 412 will give you a little better pitch as far as the snow goes, that's true, yeah. The other thing I want to ask about is your drawing still a door, head door and man door. But the other drawings don't show any windows or any,
Nothing.
let's say, ventilation in that building.
There's eaves on it, I don't have any other windows. And I couldn't afford it.
Will that have power run to it?
No, sir. And it's gonna have concrete eventually, and it's gonna be level with the ground. They're gonna dig down 6 or 10 inches. They're gonna put stone in it this year. And then when I get the money, I'll put concrete in it at some point.
Yeah, basically they have to take the topsoil out of the
Yeah,
area,
so he said, they're gonna dig it down, the tops are like 6 inches or 8 inches.
get down to the clay, and then put stone on it, yeah. And I see is that big building that we see up there in the upper right-hand corner,
The barn?
is that a barn?
That's my neighbor's, yeah.
Yeah.
That's,
Neighbors.
What kind of a barn is that?
I think it's just a garage, he puts his tractors and stuff in it, and then the thing off the back is where he puts all the wood. He has a,
How big is that building?
I don't know, it's not that big, that's his house. That's his house there, and then this is a garage or a shed or something, that actually was his garage, and I think he turned it into like a living area or something.
Yeah, no, that big thing that arrow was on here, that's the house,
No, that's a garage.
that's the garage?
This is the house.
The house is-
Oh, that's the house?
Yeah, this was the garage also that he did, I don't know what he did with it.
But that one's
Just
under,
get pull in there, so.
that's just normal, standard height.
Yeah, I thought, I was looking at the picture, I thought I missed
Right,
that.
where you can't see it, but across the street, there's a big barn that they built, and then over on the other side of this field, there's a bunch of barns.
I'd say there's a
Yeah.
couple,
Right
this
there.
way up the road, there's 2 or 3 more.
Yeah, there's really big barns on the road from a farmer.
Yeah,
on the
so
back
it's,
side.
it's not out of character.
No, they're all over that road. Oh, there's actually a bunch of them.
But yeah, so the primary need for the variance for the height is so that you can have that loft. That'll give you a
Yeah,
little
you
bit of
will
storage
stand under,
space.
it's not dark and.
How far is the property line to where you want to put it to the edge of this?
About 30 or 40 feet, it's within the variance.
It doesn't need any variance,
It's not just looking at the.
just for the height.
I wanted to move it, but I just don't wanna get to the 3 variances, I'd rather only have to deal with the one. And there's no, I mean, it's in the middle of the yard, I'm gonna lose the whole yard anyway, I don't really care, I'd rather have a garage, not get wet and be able to.
Work on stuff, yeah. Okay. Got it. Karen? Claire, you're set?
I'm also.
I'm sorry.
Okay. I like the inside. All right. Tom, do we have anybody,
No, no one for that.
did we have any comments from any of the neighbors? Any other questions? Does anybody in the audience have any questions? Are we having fun yet?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
All right. Second, all in favor? All right, so moved. Okay. All right, so what we're gonna do is go through the 5 questions, just like you did. And then we will, go from there. All right, so number 1, whether the benefits of the applicant can be achieved by some other means.
Good,
Yes, by not having the
lower
go
pitch,
shorter, yes.
yeah,
Need it, but
but it, like you said, the higher the pitch, the better for snow.
will the variance cause an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or their nearby properties?
No.
No. Is the request substantial?
No.
No,
It's a small. Whether the request will have an adverse physical or environmental effect on the neighborhood or surrounding areas?
no.
No,
And then whether the need for the variance is self-created?
yes.
Yes. All right, any other discussion? Questions? All right. So the ZBA, after taking into consideration the above 5 factors, finds that the benefit to the applicant does outweigh the detriment to the neighborhood. ZBA further finds that the variance for, what is it?
2 feet.
Call it 3 feet.
Yeah, it's
Maybe
almost
11,
3 feet,
19.
2 foot 11, 19.
Okay, so that's the minimum variance that should be granted in order to preserve and protect the character of the neighborhood and the health, safety, and welfare of the community. And with that, there's agreement, there's no significant impact on the environment, so, proposal type 2 action on seeker and no further review on that. Based on that, does anybody have, or would anybody like to make a motion?
Here,
Warren,
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that the zoning board grant the variance to Matthew Ventura at 8190 Salt Springs Road, Manlius, tax map ID 098.01 -13.0. Variance granted, the height variance granted of 19 and 11 and 9/16 inches for the purpose of constructing a pole barn.
do I have a second?
1 second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Done.
All right.
Yeah.
They will,
You'll get your permit in the mail shortly.
Awesome. Can they start this weekend?
I don't see why not. They're just not gonna have you're just not gonna have the green sheet in your window.
Alright.
Yeah, but I can do a
You just
written
asked me
approval.
if they can start in the.
I can do a written approval to them if they require it.
yeah, can you coordinate that, give it to them tomorrow, Tom?
Absolutely. You might not get, you might not,
Next year tomorrow.
it's probably won't be processed, but my name will be on the dotted line for the approval.
you've got to clear the property, right?
I already did all
Yeah,
that.
no problem.
So you're gonna start setting holes,
Yes.
drilling holes and.
Yes, sir.
RLS is doing the
Yeah,
construction.
RLS is doing, I work too much. I don't have time to do it.
No, that's good.
That's good.
Appreciate your honesty. Really good.
I'll get you that. I'll get you some type of rent through the sheet you produced.
Okay, well, thank you guys.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Agenda item number 6. Move on. This is for Joseph Roberts at 5821 Acton Street, East Syracuse, tax map number 075.05-09.0. They will need 2 variances to construct a 15 by 30 by 54 above ground pool.
Yes, sir.
Hold on 1 second. Can I get a motion to open the public hearing on this agenda item? Gary, you want a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, sorry.
That's okay.
Hello.
So, we're looking to put a pool in the backyard. And we do need 2 setback variances based on the size of the land and where the fences are. And it's going to go as close to the house as further away from the fences as it can go, really. It's just within the variances that there are, we're not able to build it any other way.
For this, we're looking at a 10-foot side yard, so they need 5 feet. And then for the required 15. And then they also need a variance, so 25 foot's the rear yard requirement and they're on their lot. They're requesting a variance of 10 feet.
Yes, sir.
Can you, all right, there, Tom's got it. So in this neighborhood, unlike a lot of the other ones we were looking at earlier, the lots are smaller in the back there.
Foot wide or so.
Yeah. And you're putting that right up near the house.
It'll be
How
about
far
3
is
feet
it?
off the deck.
About 3? Okay,
15.
and that still gives you a little bit of a backyard behind it.
A little bit.
I think I missed, can you explain why it wouldn't be further to the left?
To be centered with deck.
Center of the.
Yes, sir. Yeah, the electrical's also on that side of the house. It'd be a straight shot to the electrical panel.
Did you cut down that big tree stump in that stump?
I paid to get that done. That was
That's a big tree.
it was, it had four crotches, but it was one giant tree. It was, massive.
Massive.
What's that easement that you got down that sideline? Is that an easement through your?
I think it's just a driveway and then it shows the fence line.
No, is that one?
You see what I'm talking about there, Tom?
It might have been a conveyance. I'm not, because it's dotted.
Yeah, it's dotted. It's not a utility easement or.
Oh, so there's a chain link fence and then the property goes about a foot into the neighbor's yard. I think that's what it is, a chain link.
The chain link is
The other dotted line there.
Oh, I
this
see.
right here, where those are. This has a lot,
I got you.
148 and 47. The chain link is within the property line, this is would be the property line, so it is within the property.
It's within the property.
Yeah.
Up front, it looks like it's 5'8", and then when you get to the back, it's rather narrow back there, but it does say 147, 148. And, yeah, that's.
They're the same here, but then we'll be back here.
That's right, they're really narrow back here.
This-
That's what I'm asking.
I'm not positive, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes it might be like an underground utility,
I don't believe there's any utilities in the back corner. In the rear of the house.
sometimes drain pipes, you know.
In the neighbor's yard, there's a clay drain pipe that goes to the road. It's very old though.
Yeah,
But it's on his side of the yard, it's not on ours.
yeah, it shows some of it on your property.
It would go, the clay drain on his yard is probably 2 or 3 feet from the fence over. I don't think it's that.
Looks like they probably all needed to.
Yeah, but you see what I'm asking?
Yeah, I'm not sure what that is. There is. a
I'm not
drain.
sure either, that's why I'm asking the question. You get the dash dot,
Right.
that's your property line, and then inside that, you see those dotted lines.
Right.
Normally that indicates something. But anyways, you need to make sure you stay away from that.
Right.
In case they have to get in there.
Who's putting this in?
Cannon.
Okay. So, I mean,
This is a above ground,
Above ground, yes, sir.
so this will be, I won't say portable, but it's just gonna be a permanent.
Permanent fixture.
So in the winter, what happens to it?
You close it, you winterize it with, the winterizing chemical, you put a cover on it.
You don't take it down.
No, sir. No, it'll be fixed. It'll be a fixed object.
Yeah. Um. 4 foot high and all that stuff.
54 inches. 15 feet wide, 30 feet long, 54 inches high.
So you gotta build a deck out to it.
Eventually, I may attach a landing, but for now, there'll just be the stairs that come with the pool. So a ladder type stair.
What's the screening on the back? Like your back neighbors, what would you have in the back from?
So right now, there's arborvitae on half of it, and where the tree is, it's temporary, or eventually I'll do more arborvitae. So it's 8 or 9 feet that I'll have to cover.
yeah, I mean. So it's,
That tree that's there, now that the tree isn't there, you got a clear shot to.
Correct,
You
yeah,
see your neighbors very clearly.
correct, yeah.
Of course, they can see him too.
That's true. And in the interim, I bought the black mesh privacy fence that attaches to the chain link, but arborvitae is what's gonna go in there. They're actually asked when I was in acres today, prices.
That would have to be pretty tall, that arborvitae.
Yeah, they grow about 20 feet, 15, 20 feet.
Okay,
You've sent letters to the neighbors, nothing? Okay.
is there anybody online, Tom?
There is not.
Anybody in the audience have any question? I know she wants the purple. Did they give you a timeline on when they're doing it?
Beginning of June to middle of June.
Their schedule's getting much better. We had a few early on after COVID that they were like 2 years out.
Oh, yeah, you couldn't even get the pool kits. That's on everybody
Yeah.
bought a pool.
Yeah,
But this is above ground.
this is.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah, but no.
Yeah, even from the manufacturers, everything was sold across the country.
I just like to ask that question because again, we just gotta make sure with
Yeah.
the grant that
Right.
they've got enough time. Because some of them are still pushing
Yeah, they said beginning to middle of June, is what they're looking at.
just in time for school to end and the weather to get warm.
Maybe.
Yes, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe
Last few days are a little cold. I just want to
a
leave my
day and a
hands
half
up.
to 2 days. A round pool is much faster. An oval takes about 2 days for some reason.
All right. All right, any other questions? Can we get a motion to close the public hearing?
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
All right,
That's,
you second? You sure?
I think so.
All right, all in favor? Carrie second. All right, aye. Opposed? You're good?
I'm good.
Oh, okay. All right, so what we're gonna do is go through those 5 questions as well.
I have one question. So you're planning on, when are these arborvitae going in?
Hey, probably next season, to be quite honest. I can't afford to do it this season. They're pretty expensive. I am gonna put the privacy screen fence up as soon as the stump is gone, which will be tomorrow. And that's just mesh that zip ties to the existing.
How many trees are you gonna put back there?
They have to be spaced 5 foot apart. I would say 5 to 8, something like that.
I'm not an arborist, but I would like that clearly specified if it's going to be a condition. Because when you start talking about the height requirement for purchasing them, I'm assuming you're at 5 to 6 feet.
I'm gonna buy smaller ones, probably 2 to 3. Anything over that,
Yeah.
$400 a piece, they're ridiculous.
Yeah, I would assume, and that's a good price for them. So I would ask that the height be specified and then per an arborist, I mean, not an arborist, but per the nursery's recommendation for installing, so whatever it says on the little tab,
Right.
I would
Yeah, I think
recommend their spacing, because
if he puts,
if we make him put 10 in and then it kills 3 of them because they're too close, it's counterintuitive for that. So I would suggest whatever that spacing is by the plant producer.
Landscaper.
Yeah, a landscaper or somebody of that nature.
I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying.
I don't think we're gonna spec an actual. We won't get way too many. Where you actually spec like a tree, but like an arborvitae,
No,
right?
there should
in
be-
general,
I
yeah.
think there should be something back there, because when I looked at, you got a clear shot.
It is, it's clear, it's on both sides, yeah, 100%.
I'm sure they don't want people watching them either, so it goes each way.
Right.
Privacy on both sides.
consult a landscaper, Ryan, 5 feet.
5 feet.
He does it for a living. They grow pretty quick too.
Okay.
So, okay, all right, so we closed the public hearing. We're gonna go through the 5 questions. All right, whether the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by a feasible alternative to the variance, not if you're gonna keep it in line with the
deck.
deck. And you really don't have a whole lot of space, you're gonna need a variance one way or another in that backyard to get that full with that. Whether an undesirable change would be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties.
No.
Whether requested variance is substantial.
No.
50.
Would the variance have an adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions of the neighborhood?
No.
No. And whether alleged difficulty was self-created, yeah, if they want to build a pool. So. All right, ZBA, after taking into consideration above 5 factors, finds that the benefit to the applicant does outweigh the detriment to the neighborhood. ZBA, well, we'll get to that, it's. The other, I know the 2 variances,
Claire has them right here.
okay.
Have one.
The 2 variances.
Oh, I have.
Yeah, Carrie's all set.
All right, yeah, well, I'll have her read the motion in a minute. Right, so they need a 5-foot variance on the side yard and 10 on the rear. 10 on the rear. All right. Want to make sure I didn't do it incorrectly. All right, it's the minimum variance that should be granted in order to preserve and protect the character of the neighborhood, health, safety, and welfare of the community. There's also agreement that there is no significant impact on the environment, therefore I propose a type 2 action on secret and no further review on that's required. Based upon that, would someone like to make a motion to grant or deny?
I'll make a motion.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that the zoning board of appeals grant an area variance to Joseph D. Roberts for the property located at 5821 Action Street, East Syracuse, New York, 13057, tax map ID 075-05-09.0. This variance is being granted for the purpose of permitting the construction of a new pool with an existing side yard setback of 10 feet that will need a variance of 5 feet to meet the required 15 feet side yard setback, and the existing rear yard side 15 feet that will need a variance of 10 feet to meet the required 25 rear yard setback.
So it's above ground pool.
yes, yeah.
With the condition of landscaping put behind within the next
Well, so we should
5 to
specify
8
that.
arborvitae,
Everybody,
spaced 5 feet apart within 1 year.
per the requirements of the,
Probably 5 trees.
I don't know if you can specify the number
Yeah,
of
I don't
trees.
want to say it have to be an adverse, have it negatively affect them and kill them. I'd have to.
So, yeah, I think,
One of the
yeah,
Depends on what it is.
I agree with that, with what Jamie just said, sufficient to shield.
Yeah, there you go.
I think that covers it.
Are we gonna do a height requirement on the trees, so when I go out there, I know that they have to be a certain height that he planted them? For the variance? Cause he could get like a little sapling and 5 trees, I just don't.
I would imagine that somebody else might have something more to
Yeah,
say
he's
about
already-
that than,
Yeah.
the rest of us.
I know we,
Well, it's gonna have a privacy fence up that,
Yeah.
assuming it's gonna be
Yeah.
up until those grow,
Throw a
right?
tree going.
So. We could,
Sufficient to shield. I think it'd be good.
well, sufficient to shield could be in a bunch of things. It could be.
Looking straight at the fence, above the fence, it slopes up to your neighbor behind you.
Yes, sir.
That's where that's my concern.
Right,
You know, putting black on the fence is one thing, but you can clearly see the neighbors through that.
right, their lot is higher. Yes,
Right.
What would you like to say?
That whole neighborhood does this. That's Fremont Hills.
What do you want it to say? Sufficient to shield. For landscaping.
It's not gonna shield that well because of the
Initial.
strawberry.
Yeah.
But you said 2
What-
feet were what you were looking at,
Yes,
To plant, but they grow in, a couple feet a year.
the
Yeah, they
beginning,
grow pretty quickly.
the beginning. Right?
Do we have,
Did we, all right, did we specify that?
Minimum height of 2 feet.
Minimum height of 2 feet. All right, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Congratulations.
thank you very much.
clarifying that.
Thank you very much, guys. Have a good evening.
Okay.
Yeah. And if KP tries to come over and go swimming, he tries that, oh no.
That's done a lot.
Have a good night, guys.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
We're gonna be spacing out, it's per the
Landscaping.
landscape.
Yeah.
I make a motion.
No,
No?
Okay. Good. All right.
good group of topics.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
all right, and then. Agenda item number 7. Daniel and Ryan Yurt, 8291 East Seneca Turnpike in Manlius, tax map number 099-01-27.4. And may we get a motion to, oh wait, it's still open from us, that's right, see? Well, that's appreciate it. All right, so. Welcome back. Thank you.
So for the record, this is a continuation of.
The public hearing, correct. All right, so since we met last, we got back, I don't have it directly from me, do you have the printout from Onondaga County?
Yes.
These?
The DA one.
Can someone give me the Z dash number on it, Z3?
Dash 125.
That was the rounding down, special. permit.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, if you.
I started scrolling through.
It's Z-23- something.
Right.
She didn't put it out.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the only one I did not.
Yep.
125 is in relation to the planning board. 19. Okay. Z 23, 190.
I'll find it. It's just-
23,
I
119.
think it was 17, 18, and 19, I think.
Only 19.
19's to us, the other one's to planning. Right?
Yep. We only have one coming back up.
Okay.
All right.
So, did everybody have a chance to review that? Document?
I didn't.
I did not.
The county, the county referral, you did not review.
I did not, no, it's in an email, I didn't open it.
Okay, so can we get that? Do you have it in your package?
I'm gonna go.
Printed.
Print it.
Okay,
Uh,
is that it?
it is, got it.
It is right.
Yeah.
Okay,
So we want to discuss.
you wanna
that
look at
and
that?
explain KP what's in there.
Yeah, I'll look at it, go ahead.
Go ahead.
All right. Um, you give me a minute to read it.
No, go ahead.
Okay. So one of the things that was recommended in the review from Onondaga County was for the installation of a sewer. Now, you were gonna get a quote on that, correct?
Yeah, I spoke with Jeff Bill, the health department, he's the one that to go through. And when I told him what the situation was, there was a deep side, he said, if it's significantly different in price, he said, we would have a discussion with the county. So I told him what the county said, and he said, well, there's really a big difference. He's like, nobody on that side of the street went under the street. And he said, show me something, give me prices. To do a raised bed, which is a little bit smaller than a traditional like 3-bedroom one, it would be about 20,000. Okay,
That's a septic system.
That's
Yeah.
the rate, that's,
Yeah.
yeah.
to come down the hill. You were out there, Mr. Chairman, I was going the other day.
Yep.
Okay, so we got a lot of outcropping, namely rock right to the surface, and you can see. You're gonna have to jackhammer down to the rock, or you're gonna have to blast. And I'm sure that the neighbors would say the damage to their house as a result of it or something, which is possible. But to do all that all the way down, it's gonna be down these 4 feet. You're looking at about $15,000 just to get to the road. You're looking at least another 25 to go under the road. So you're looking in the neighborhood of 30, 40,000 to, yeah, I mean, if it wasn't rock, it'd be a lot cheaper, but because it's rock, that's the problem.
So about 40,000 or so
Yeah.
to connect to the sewer. And that, you said that includes going under the road?
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah.
And
and
I
that's an
know,
approximation, whoever we would get might say, okay, it's 32 or 36 or, but that's the range that we're getting.
okay. How far back did that go? To that would have to run?
It would go back to where the building is.
So about
Would have to put a
from the
pump
road,
station.
that's what, 100?
Well, this here. This here is 200. Be about 400 feet back roughly, 350 to 400.
And I know that he had dug through, they showed me a couple spots last night where at most you were down maybe 1.5 feet before hitting rock.
And some of it though is right at the surface. So
Yeah, there was still one spot where there's rock right
we'll
there.
be digging 3 foot to 4 foot through rock. Or putting a device on the end of the excavator and jackhammering to chip it out or whatever we're gonna do to it. But that is limestone, it's not shale.
Right. Now you still have to blast to do the raised bed too, right? Or would
No.
you would just say,
No.
Because
So
the way
here's
it's set.
here's the deal. Usually when you do a raised bed, you test for perk on the first foot of soil. Okay, 1 foot, you see if it's less than a minute difference, or excuse me, less than an hour difference in 1 inch. With something like this, where I dug, I was getting like 15 inches of soil to 18 inches. Well, let's say there was less. A lot of the beds I'll do in such a situation, I put an additional foot of soil underneath it. So then that gives a little bit more of a buffer. So standard raised bed, you're about 30 inches deep, more or less, but we could put another foot if wherever it went, we didn't have a foot already. So that would raise it up then from 30 to like 42 inches. But it's still doable on it, yes. Yes, sir.
In this soil, I haven't been up there, but I remember from last time. That the rear lot line is a lot higher than the front lot line.
Yeah, if you're going, I mean, there's like a contours on here, but basically this rise,
How much do you think that rise?
there's about a,
about a 10 to 15% grade, I would.
I was gonna say closer to 10.
Yeah.
Closer to 10.
As
So
you go,
that's-
as
so
you go
that's-
back, it's progressively from where the Emmons property is back, it slopes upwards.
So that.
But it's not a steep slope, it's a progressive
You
slope.
can walk in.
Yeah.
So in elevation, how much has it changed?
It's about 6 or 7 feet from front to back.
Went back,
Yeah, so if I could jump ahead and you can cut me off if you want to. But one idea or one statement was, here's the building we're showing. Move it back further away. When you move it back, you're raising it up. It's gonna be more visible than to the front. And when you go back to here, because the rock is in there, either A, you're gonna have to dig out a lot of rock, put the building down, but then you have water coming into the building.
Right.
Or the back of the building will be up here, but the front, you're gonna have to bring in substantial fill. You know, to do the front, so.
or the septic system, you know, out front would be,
Well, the septic
The
would be
raised
back,
bed.
septic would be up back here.
yeah, but if you put the building in the back, the raised bed would be out front or on the side?
No, over on the side, what we showed. That would be the building, the bed.
Yeah. It's a basic raised bed system.
But it's a little smaller, when you do commercial, the DEC has, different criteria that shrinks it down. So a normal 3-bedroom house,
Yeah,
you would have 5 to 6 lines, okay?
right,
For this, we're gonna have about 3 lines, so it's gonna be a little bit smaller.
yeah.
There's just that singular bathroom.
There's not the draw, and not gonna be there 24 hours a day, and they're not doing
Shower,
showers and things like that, so.
they have one in there. But not an everyday,
Right,
There's
not a
no,
living.
there's no plan for grooming. So you're not bathing dogs.
no. Right,
Yeah, no.
right.
Okay. Just had to make sure, because that obviously affects that. Warren, questions?
Does the county require that you connect to a sewer because there's sewer there?
The idea is if there's a sewer facility, you should try to time it. Like I said, I talked to Jeff regarding it and he goes, if there's substantial difference, he said, we've overridden that before. Like I said, nobody on this side of the road has gone under the road to the sewer because of the cost. Daniel, what did they tell you when you bought it? Look it up, how much,
About us stepping into
how much
it,
was it gonna be?
I think it was about $50,000
40 to 50,000 and that's
20 years ago. I can't see it going down much.
Closer.
But we were closer to the road and there wasn't any blasting.
Right,
that
but
was
then,
involved.
so your number for when you built the house 20 years ago is higher than what you just said. If they did it now.
Yeah.
That's what they told us then, so I'm not sure what the company was or if, you know.
Now,
that's-
who actually puts that in? The county?
Oh,
No.
for it.
No,
You have to hire somebody to do it?
Yeah, we get a regular contract. I mean, the price that I got off a gentleman, it's a smaller business. And it's a lower price, but he put the stuff in. Would have to get somebody to bore, separate company to bore underneath.
Yeah,
Because it's all rock underneath the road too.
Yeah.
So they have to bore through the rock to get to the other side.
well, Seneca Turnpike was, yeah.
Limestone.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's. Yeah. But I think we need to, my thought is, or why don't we have more specific numbers rather than guesstimates? Is that-
Because most of the contractors don't want to give you a specific unless you're gonna seriously consider them and they're gonna really get the job. So the ones I talked to would give me a ballpark.
Yeah.
But they're like, well, let me meet you out there and how soon do you want us to start this? I'm like, well, we're doing this for a comparison. And my schedule's sort of tight, I can't do it right now. Unless they're gonna get the job, they want to waste going out there and doing all this stuff.
That's true,
Yeah,
that's,
so the numbers I gave you though are on the lower side. But,
so to do a raised bed, you're saying it's gonna be 20,000?
about 20, yeah.
And if you do the sewer line, that's gonna be 40?
It's gonna be about twice as much. We're gonna run all like 350 feet down, the jackhammer 4 foot deep.
You can get a raised bed for about
How much?
15,000.
Okay. What about a water line? You gotta run a water line up there?
Yes, we will have water and that's across the.
Won't you have the
road.
same problem there with a water line if you do a sewer line?
For some reason, to get to the water, it's only $1,500, but for the stuff, for the sewer. it
You're
was
gonna drill a well, what are you gonna do with the water?
We're gonna do water, there's ways around that, so the water, you don't necessarily have to be 3 feet down, you have to be below the freeze line, but you can't go below the freeze line, you put foam over the water pipe. Put the water pipe, like put foam over the water pipe, and that will keep it from freezing.
So now, and one of the things to keep in mind on this KP is if they were to connect to the sewer as the county recommends.
Yeah.
That would eliminate the need for the variance because then
That's right.
the area changes. So then at that point, there is no variance
Right,
and it would go back to the planning board.
right. But, so we'd have to what? Recommend that they go to the sanitary sewer.
If after you look at the criterion, but we have to go through the criterion. If you accept that comment of the county, then that would be one of your criterion that you're gonna look at anyway. And if that becomes a major determining factor, that then a variance would not be required if they put in the sewer connection.
Right,
And so it would be, you don't get your variance, you don't need one,
you know,
go just get 150 feet of road frontage.
so then the planning board would just divide up the lots or divide the lot into 2 pieces.
Well, they
That's their
still have to look at, they still have to look at it.
Yeah.
Like, we're still looking at it, but it would.
There wouldn't be
You
any
don't
further.
grant the variance, they would have no choice but to put in the sewer, because they don't have a variance for the road frontage.
But isn't it if the county health department says that we don't have to do it, and they gave us a waiver for it. Can the town still say, no, you've got to do it, even though health department says we're not requiring it?
You probably have to come back to this board. I don't know what this board's gonna do. This is a
No,
discussion.
I know, I'm just saying.
But, the decision right now is whether if they accept that it has to be done, and they're saying this is a really important part of the variance criterion, then it would be a denial of the variance. If it's a denial of the variance, then the only thing you can do is you have to put it in.
Right.
But we're just going for the 1 foot thing variance, we're not doing for the subdivision.
No, I know, this is.
But if the
just-
health department's gonna say, because of the pricing, we give them the pricing, and everything else, and they say, we're overriding the standard
Then you'd
rule.
still-
And you could appeal the denial of the variance and come
Well,
back to us, right?
come again for a change of circumstance,
Right.
for a variant, for a variance.
Even though we're
To
giving
get-
prices tonight, we'd have to come back again.
Again, this is,
At
I'm
this
just,
point-
I'm just letting
Yeah.
everyone know
It-
what the
Yeah.
consequences.
Yeah.
At this point, Joe, we've got what the county recommended, right? Without, I know what you're saying, but we don't have that to show, so. I think at this point, we've got their recommendation. If that's something that they do, then. They would have to come back and would have to approve of it.
If the
If
board
that was-
decides that that's an
if-
important
correct.
criterion, right,
Correct.
for this variance, which falls under, it is can the applicant, is there a feasible alternative
Yes.
to the variance?
Yeah,
Is the answer, well, the feasible alternative is you don't need a variance if you put in the sewer.
That's correct.
So that's a discussion item, right?
Correct.
Or do you say, well, I have enough information here now, it's really not a feasible alternative. Because it's just not realistic and it's too much money, right? You can go that direction.
Right.
So
Yes.
that's a discussion when we get to the discussion item, of the criterion.
Now,
Does
the
everyone
other.
get that?
The other thing to keep in mind with this, and I made reference to this when I talked to Danielle and Ryan when I was there yesterday. We also have to look at it not for the proposed use that they have, right?
No,
We have to look at it as the current variance that they're looking for the subdivision, right? And what would be an applicable use for R5, should they say, forget this, we don't want it, and they sell that property? Or a future owner of that property, what they can do with that, so we have to keep that in mind. Irrespective of the proposed use that they have, that went to the planning board. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
So,
But whatever they would say, if they sold it, somebody else wants to do something else, they've got to go to the planning board.
of course, it
Yeah,
would still,
yeah.
it would still have to go to the
But,
planning
but
board.
they might have the variance by then, or they might not have the variance.
Right, what-
So it's gonna be one of
What I'm,
those
what
things
I'm
that's gonna
saying,
happen.
Joe, is we always have to look at it that the variance carries with the property, right, not with the owner. So, as I was saying to them yesterday, they could say, okay, you know what, we're not gonna do anything with this, and somebody is offering us whatever, we're gonna sell it, and they can do what they want with it. We have to keep that in mind, that when it's subdivided, that in that R5, you know, obviously it would still have to come back to planning board, whatever it was, but
Yeah.
it's something to keep in mind when we look at it. We always, one of the things with the ZBA is looking at the, not just what is being built, but also what that variance does to that property for future ownership of that as it carries with it.
The actual subdivision is going to be done by the planning.
Correct, for us, right,
So
for
you
us,
could say we get the variance, but the planning would say, no, we're not gonna do it. So,
exactly,
yeah, okay,
Yeah.
that's fine, that's fine.
yeah, and we could grant the variance and the planning board could say, no, we want to sewer.
Yeah, exactly.
So
we're talking about-
that's-
Right.
That's, and that's beyond us, right? We can't speak for the planning board, and it's always a balancing act when we're in our meetings, when something comes to us from the planning board,
Mhm.
to try to keep what the end use product is out of it without getting it muddy when it
Right,
comes to just the variance.
right, right.
It's kind of a,
It's a fun, it's a good talk.
it is.
Well, I appreciate the, so Danielle and Ryan, that everything tonight is basically about the variance, about the distance, not about the anticipated build or anything else, or sound or noise or anything. It's just for that 1 point so many feet.
Right. I think 13 feet, right? What it is. Danielle, did you have a,
Yeah, I just
Comment?
wanted to, also make a point again, not only is it economically more money, but the blasting. I mean, the blasting is gonna have effects to everyone around because they have to blast down, so the ambulance will be affected with blasting. Now, we're gonna be, responsible for damages that are gonna be done because the blasting is gonna cause issues no matter what.
if you get to that point, obviously there's insurance that a company that would blow the whole blast would cover if there was damage to other property.
I'm just saying that's crazy having to blast that far all the way back when you can do a septic, smaller, septic thing that nobody's gonna really see, or it's not gonna really affect anybody by doing that. There's not gonna be any effects of blasting or damages or insurance needed for that, because that's totally separate.
And when there's I'm speaking, I'm not an attorney or anything, but I've seen enough of these. So let's say something like that happens and the company has insurance that's doing the excavation, okay? Something happens to somebody's house, they go after anybody that's touching that property. Okay, they'll go after the owners, they go after anybody, and then they have to defend themselves, and all of a sudden there's thousands of dollars to defend yourself, so.
Yeah, but this isn't the first time they've ever blasted it. So I mean, it's
No, I
not
understand.
like we're creating a new wheel here.
No,
up in that
So I mean,
section,
it's something they
But the
can
area-
do,
yep,
nothing new. That's a paid thing you gotta cover, but. It's been done, will be done in the future.
yep.
Carrie? Any thoughts, questions, comments? Recipes?
Yes.
I do have,
I didn't eat dinner beforehand, so.
What do you have?
I do have an email from the DOT.
Okay,
They still haven't reviewed everything, there's swamp there.
you want to share and I can read it?
Yeah.
So that's on the curb cut for the,
That's for the driver. Last,
Driver.
but you told me that you can't really make a decision, unless you got something to do.
I appreciate you getting that.
Yeah.
Claire and I will share.
And I'll read it so we can get it into the record. Do you have another copy? I can-
Yeah, I got it.
Actually, hold on, there were two here. There we go. All right,
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So this is an email, yesterday, from Richard Stevens at the DOT. Joe, I took a quick drive out and site distances appear to be good. With the frontage of the property greater than 186 feet, I do not see any reason that a driveway couldn't be permitted. From what I saw, this does not look like wetlands or any other protected area. As such, I can provide conceptual approval for a driveway at the location proposed. I'll be sending a follow-up email at a later time with your additional comments for your next submission. Richard Stevens, Transportation Analyst, Permits, New York State Department of Transportation and CNY region. Thank you for bringing that, Joe.
Yeah.
Well.
And they showed me last time, and that as far as the driveway is concerned, that piece of it. And I think Warren, I think we discussed this, when you look at their property. Right, it's flat. Past the Evans property, and then it ridges up, then there's a little bit of a hill, and then it's flat going the other direction towards the school. So that part of it. And which this is the,
Danielle gave it to him, I guess.
oh, this is the, what you brought to the planning board, right?
No, that is something that we did, Brian delivered it to the town.
Yeah. Okay, that's right, we
It's
just,
all people around us that are all supportive in our area of what we're planning to do.
That's another one.
Extremely supportive.
There's 56.
I think there's 56.
did you have the addresses? Of the
No,
people?
because when we looked at what was submitted by the Emmett, we just submitted what they had. I know one of them is right across the street from us, I would have called. And another one is one house down over, right next to us.
On the other side of the tower.
But they're all local.
Doesn't have addresses,
Oh, yeah.
but it's 56 names.
That's your copy.
Yeah, and I think there's a copy there. That'd be it. No. Claire. Thoughts?
I wanna look at this.
Okay, okay. Yep. Warren, do you have any other questions?
I'd like to look at that.
Okay. All right, is there anybody on
There
Zoom?
is Frank or John and Connie Enders.
Okay,
If you have something to say, if you raise your hand.
you wanna allow them to talk and Mr. and Mrs. Enders, do you have any comments?
They're able to
Yeah.
talk.
Yeah, you should be able to talk. Can you hear us okay? Mr. and Mrs. Enders, can you hear us okay? You might have to unmute on your end. Let's say that, but they could be,
Yeah.
or turn your volume up maybe.
There are.
No.
Can you type into the chat box if you can hear us okay? I'm assuming they can hear us because they raised their hand, so.
We can hear you, we are trying to reconnect the audio.
Okay, we'll come back to you guys in a minute. Just we'll keep you as a panelist for right now. Mrs. Emmons, do you have any? Did you have any comments?
Mrs. Evans, I'm Mrs. Ellenberg.
I'm sorry.
Yes, my attorney has some
Okay.
comments. And, yeah,
Do they have any comments first, or do you speak on their behalf?
just one thing about the blasting.
Yes.
I was a kid when the gas lines went through and the original sewer line went through. They were blasting then, like 73, and the house is still there. They were fine.
So it happens every day in our neighborhood. You know, when they build those houses, you know, I live up in Mallards. And, you know, they've been built on the villas at Mallards and they've been blasting a couple of times.
Most
there.
of our region requires blasting.
Yeah, up in
Hence
this part of the
the,
world.
very large quarry right up the road.
Right, and my mom's house is built on limestone. The entire basement is limestone.
Yeah.
No, it's there.
The lady behind you, do you have any comments? I'm gonna let you speak, Dirk, in a second.
All right.
Making sure I get everybody. Did you?
I live right across the street from them,
Okay,
and when they came up with the sewer line, they came right up my mother's front yard, they had blast.
okay,
There's been no damage to our property from
okay.
it, other than the yard, it kind of.
I think they've been blasting behind you recently, haven't they?
Well, I thought it's up the road.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's no
All right, hold on, they're on now. Mr. and Mrs. Enders, can you hear us okay?
They were just there,
They
they're
were
on the phone.
You were there. Try calling back in. We'll get you on here in a second. I love technology. All right. Mr. Udemo, why don't you come on up? Joe, if you could just let, him speak second, and then we'll, when the Enders come on, we'll let them speak as well.
My client who lived next door opposed variance and the project generally, but I enjoyed listening to you. I think you've identified what you really need to grapple with. And I want to give you my 2 cents on it. And I think that if you're going to make a decision yourself as to affordability, you're making a legal mistake. The law does not say affordability, it says feasibility. Feasibility is a mechanical construction concept. It is not a financial matter. We all know, because we've lived a few years, that we all have different pocketbooks. And at various stages of our life, we can afford and not afford various things. Affordability is a subjective thing. It is not your role to decide whether or not these people can afford it. It's a question of feasibility. Variance is a derogation of your town board's zoning code. And you have an obligation, if a variance can be avoided, to avoid it. And I say to you, you're going down the wrong road. However, if you disagree with me, and I'm gonna tell you, there's no court case.
In what way are we going down the
If
road? You're talking about the
you're gonna
affordability piece?
decide whether the issue of double the cost is feasible, and that becomes a part of your decision, I say that's a wrong decision, and the court will tip you over. It can't be approved by a court because you're being subjected. This is not, you would be saying affordability. That's not the issue. The language is feasibility, that's scientific. Okay, can it be done? Okay? And now, let's assume you say, Dirk, well, we don't care, we got a different view, and we're gonna go and we're gonna decide affordability. Then what I'm saying to you is is wholly inadequate. You've got seat of the pants numbers. You've got conversation about what the county will or will not do. That's no way for you to act. If you truly think that you have the ability and the right to determine whether or not this is an undue burden on the pocketbooks of these people, and therefore you're gonna make a decision that this is an outrageous cost, you're just wrong in my judgment. Now, the other factor you have not discussed adequately, if you're going to go in that direction, is this zoning code for this district allows a bed and breakfast. Now, this gentleman obviously just told you
that he needs a smaller raised bed for their proposed use. Well, if a regular home was put on the site, or a bed and breakfast was put on this site, how big would the raised bed have to be, and what would its cost be versus the installation of a sewer? I just think that you're going down a place you shouldn't go. And I would say to you, you're making a serious legal error, which will open you up to a clear legal challenge unnecessarily. I think your counsel probably is on the right path. At this stage, you ought to deny the variance, let this thing play out in front of the planning board, and then maybe on another day, on a better record, new circumstances, maybe you take another look at it. The other thing I'd like to ask you about is what paperwork do you have from the planning board on this referral? I've never seen anything from the planning board sending this to you. Is there a piece of paper? Or is this just an oral telephone call conversation? Do you have something, Jamie?
Yeah, I mean, in the minutes, they said it has to come to the zoning board of appeals.
And what do the minutes exactly say?
Oh, I don't know exactly.
Well, Jamie. Section 277 of the town code says, subdivision 6, that when you are reviewing this type of a referral from the planning board, you shall request the planning board to provide you a written recommendation concerning the proposed variance. You do not have a written recommendation from the planning board as to what they think you should do. So you would be in error to act without requiring the planning board to give you such a written recommendation as required by section 277 subdivision 6. Enough said. There's another day in this matter, another place. But for the moment, I think these are the hot button issues. Thank you.
So we are looking for that. There is a process that does occur between the planning board and the zoning board when there are recommendations that come from them. In addition to that, I can also state that the members of this board follow closely what happens with the planning board meetings. So they're attuned and in line with what's going on. I have actually come in and I've reviewed what was before the planning board for this project. So just letting you know, it doesn't just come willy-nilly over here and we're looking at it blindly.
But Tim, the law says there shall be a written recommendation from the planning board.
Will you allow me to read this, please?
I'm asking, is there such a?
I'm asking you if you could please allow me to read what I have right here in front of me, okay?
Yes.
Okay. So this letter is from, or an email, Monday, March 27, 2023. This was sent from Lisa from the planning board to myself, Debbie, Tom, and Jamie in reference to 8291 East Seneca Turnpike, New York property. At the planning board meeting on March 27, 2023, the board voted. Member Salomon made a motion, seconded by member Reynolds and carried, minus member Rossetti, who recused himself from the matter, to refer the subdivision at 8291 East Seneca Turnpike for a road frontage variance. Road frontage required 200 feet, requesting 186.24 feet, needs a variance of 13 feet or 13.76 feet. The applicant seeking a variance from chapter 155-12A1. Applicant is requesting 186.24 feet of frontage and will need a variance of 13.76 feet to provide relief for the required 200 feet of frontage. Please use this email as the official referral to the zoning board of appeals. I will forward the draft minutes when they are available. I have also reviewed those minutes, as has our counsel.
That does not address the statute, which says when they send it to you, they must tell you whether or not they think you should grant it or deny it. That's what the law requires, their recommendation as to what you should do. It's very clear, Tim, in the statute. I knew you had that referral. Question
I know
is-
you know everything that we have, because I know your thoroughness.
Yeah,
So
well.
I'm not arguing with you. Please don't think that I am. But I'm trying to tell you, there is a process in place that we don't just,
I knew
they
that.
don't go like that and say, hey, what, you take this and run with it. So,
I know that.
okay.
I know. Okay, fine.
Um. Now on here, just making sure I didn't miss anything. No, that was just a prior email about the meeting that they were gonna be at the meeting. And it was an agenda item. So, thank you for giving me that. All right, with that said,
Mr. Chairman,
yes,
I
sir,
have a quick statement.
you may.
So based on everything that we provided tonight and things like that, well, could we request that we move off to the next meeting and I can get something from the county in the interim? That would take it off your shoulders stating their view on it and what they're gonna do, and if they would, if their decision, if they would say, we're going to allow a septic system on that side. And provide that for material for you to consider at the next meeting or prior to when I get it.
Okay with me.
What are your thoughts, Mark?
Put this off for another meeting.
That's really.
It's not just putting it off, it's making sure that we have the appropriate information to make decisions. I mean, that's,
I
we're always
believe you
trying to
put
make.
it off anyway, because Mr. Adam will point that we don't have any recommendation. Well, I have to, I'll do that.
I've got a general question.
Mhm.
The county report says. I'm gonna read it right off of this paper that we were sent.
Mhm.
Says it appears the public sewerage is available and accessible to this parcel. As such, the Onondaga County Sanitary Code requires connection to the public utility versus installation of a septic system. Plans must be modified to reflect a connection to the public sanitary sewer system, and a sewage proposal plan must be approved by the Onondaga County Health Department prior to or as a condition of municipal plan approval. So the word modified has me curious. Is there some, and this is something the attorney would know about.
What exactly is the question? Well.
When we last were here, we said that we were waiting to see what the county had to say.
Correct,
Okay, this is what the county has said.
correct.
Is there any type of connection between what the county said and the planning board and what they had discussed?
So this is a strange animal because the plans, right, the only thing that we have right now is the variance, right, and the road frontage. So they're in the referral to the ZBA, they're saying, well, the plan should be changed. If the plans are changed, then they don't need the variance. So we sort of have to make some assumptions, right? Now, if they, so I think back to that original discussion, if it is the general notion of this board that it's not, that it is feasible, there's a feasible alternative, then you go through criteria and you continue that. So that, I think you're getting hung up on, it's, the plans have to change just because it's sort of a mishmash of the plans, you know, versus what this board is doing. So if they change the plans, they don't have to be here. That's a catch-22.
That's 22.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. So their request, I believe that what's being requested, right now, we have the Onondaga County Planning Board referral that says it's required. Now, there is also the referral to the planning board that specifically says, if you don't do this, planning board, that has to be overruled by a majority plus one. That's how strongly the county planning board felt about this condition. So you can be informed by that. It's all information that's in the, you know, ether world, so you can be informed by that and say, well, it's like really important, so. It's feasible, everyone says it's feasible, county says it's feasible. Now, Mr. Bastiani has said, give us a chance, I think, to have the county reconsider that note.
Is that what you're saying?
Well, like I said, I'm saying based on my conversation with the county.
Right.
Yeah.
So
So
you're
we get a
saying,
letter explaining their view of it in this particular case. If you go through what the county reviewed, they gave you, I think it was three things. It's the exact same statements on every one. It's.
not exactly.
The others.
No, because the one is a modification.
No, but their comments as to what you've done.
Yeah.
It's the same thing posted on each one, even though they're the same thing.
Right.
So, yeah, so I'd like to bring in something well prior to the meeting. You know, as to their thing, just to clarify.
Yeah. Now, the county has to agree or approve, I should say. If you had a raised bed system.
Yes,
So whatever you do when it comes to the sewer system. See, one way or the other, they have to approve it.
right, exactly.
And if I understand this, they're saying this is what they recommend, or this is what they'd like to see is the sewer system.
Right.
Connecting into the sewer,
Understood.
right?
Yes.
Okay,
But when I talked to Jeff Till, who was one that approves septic systems and everything else, and explaining what we're up against, he said, let me think about this. He said, give me some numbers. He says, we have overridden that before. That is what they want. When people come here for a variance, they consider their rules and possibly give a variance thing. So I just get a letter from him. And if he said no, he agrees.
here's a hypothetical. What happens if we grant the 13 feet? And then put the stipulation, that's all you can do is a doggy daycare there.
We can't do
You
that.
can't do that. This is just.
We can't do
That's a special use permit. We have no bearing over that.
It's just
We
variance.
can't do that.
No,
That could be done by the planning board.
And we'd be fine with that.
but we can, not within our purview.
But my point was, or where I was going with it was, that property is worth $5 the way it sits. It's worth $7 if you hooked it up to the sewer. And somebody comes along and says, I want to give you $20. You're gonna take the $20.
Well, that's
You're
not,
gonna sell the property,
That's again,
and they're gonna do what they want.
Well, it's shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Well, yeah, that's right. What did you do, right?
Yeah.
So,
We're just asking for the 13 feet,
13 feet.
because then we still have to go for the subdivision. I mean, there's more like steps that we're trying to go through to get.
So I think what we should do, and please tell me if you disagree with me, is have Mr. Mastriani go get a confirmation.
Mhm.
Okay, and then additionally, I would like a firm price.
Yep.
Within, maybe get a few quotes or something.
Yeah.
Of each,
I will
right?
try, like I said,
Yeah,
unless you're seriously gonna hire them.
I understand, but it's also that there has now extended us into the what if of that has kind of extended us further because we don't have a clear.
No, I can. we'll
So-
provide you that.
If you could please,
Yeah, no problem.
of both your raised bed and connecting to the sewer. Now, our next meeting is June 1st. But we've already gone past the timeline to be able to send out the public notice on this. So it would be June 15th is our
yeah.
regularly scheduled program.
the thing, and I mean, I'm hearing that this is of great interest to this board. That if I go in a negative direction, if we don't get this information. But I am concerned, and I don't want to send you down a rosy path. This is from the Onondaga Planning
Which Jeff was at. that
Agency,
meeting.
so, I'd have to have some kind of time, like, oh, if we knew that, we would change this recommendation, or we change it or something.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, what I'm gonna get from him,
Which
we're
would
gonna
be to
discuss
have
the project. And then if he feels that, he will put something in the letter stating, so fine, he'll have the pricing and everything else.
So
And then he would say the thing. I mean, that's
From your time,
Your legal perspective on this,
Mhm.
if not just a letter from Jeff Till, and I understand the role Jeff played, but would that have to then go back through the Onondaga County Planning Board to
Well,
be,
this is what
because
I'm
they'd have, he
possibly
can't just write a letter, right? They'd have to,
suggesting. Or that he somehow. The board is satisfied that he's the one with the authority over what the planning and that planning board has said. So it might,
Yeah,
They
I mean,
might need to
we don't
modify
have as
that.
much, I mean, everybody does something different, they do transportation, he does all the.
Right.
Environmental.
no, I understand,
Yes, yeah.
but when I see that, then I'll have to decide, is that enough for this board or
Yeah.
help the board decide, or do we need it to go back to the Onondaga County Planning Board?
Understood.
Can I make a
yeah,
comment?
is it-
Can you have him clarify? Based on this, because he does it all.
Mhm.
This is based on a commercial property. For myself, if they were to put a single family home there,
Mhm.
I would not be able to make them hook up to sewer. Can you have him make the differentiation between residential and commercial? If this would be applicable in a residential setting. I think that, because with the zoning board referral, it says whereas the proposed lot is, so the sewer comment is based on, from the county, is based on it having a dog daycare facility. Commercial. And I just want to let the board know that if they were coming to single family home, I would not require them, I would not have the ability to make them go to sewer if the lot was conforming.
Well, let's get the information, so we can say that it doesn't matter what kind of use. You have to be informed by the entirety of the circumstances, so you can't just ignore it. If, come in and say, well, it's gonna be a house. It can be something in that zoning district, not necessarily a house, so I think we have to look at that.
Yeah, I
As
just
a commercial.
also, yeah,
Right? But if they go away and they come in to build a house, they can do that, but right now, it's a commercial project.
I don't know if the county will let them do that, but I would want.
Well, they let them 6 years ago. So,
I just think it would help the board based on.
I agree with that.
Referral.
Okay, so then we could get that information back prior to
15th.
Yeah.
It might, we'll see, we've talked about that.
But we need a little time to, like today, we got the email, and I didn't get to see it. So we need at least, what, a week?
it was sent yesterday.
Oh.
Well,
But next time we get sent out an email, I'll make sure that you have read it.
Is the vet on sewer?
Is what?
The vet. The vet's not on sewer,
The
the vet, which is right next to us.
They're not connected to the school system.
Yeah, I don't- are they, Tom?
No, they're.
No, I don't know, I'm asking.
Yeah, I don't-
They're
They're not?
I mean, they're on, I don't know, I don't know.
We're there.
Okay, can you, actually, Tom, yeah, can you bring them back up?
Yeah.
Oh, who's next to anything?
Yeah.
Doctor.
Mrs. Benners, can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yes. Is,
Great.
is your building on sewer?
Yes, we followed all recommendations of the board and we were required to be put on sewer. They told us we could not do a septic system, that we had to do a sewer, that it couldn't be a raised bed, it couldn't be anything else, it had to be on sewer. The prior homeowner was on septic here. The other thing I guess I would like to bring up is a dog kennel, like a veterinary hospital, is not a standard commercial building, and the requirements for drainage and water is a lot higher. If they're not going to hose down kennels and hose down runs, I'm not certain what the whole size of the building or how many dogs, but it's going to take a lot of water to do routine cleanup and to keep the place sanitary. So I think they would probably be best served by getting an engineer like we did to evaluate how much water usage and where it was going to go, and how to determine all the piping to hook up to sewer. But I think that a doggy daycare is still going to require a lot of water. And I also don't know if they're doing overnight boarding or doing anything else that's there that would require water usage later in the evening or overnight as well. So yes, while there's not going to be too much restroom space, there's certainly, I don't know how much laundry they're going to have to do. I don't know if they're going to do any dog bathing to clean up dogs before they go home. But irrespective of that, there's a large amount of water to clean a facility, to disinfect and to clean it. And that should also be taken into perspective about things here. But yes, so the long answer to your question is yes, we are in sewer as was requested for us to do, or required for us to do, I should say.
Okay. Thank you for that, Danielle,
I
You're
do
welcome.
believe it's a conflict of interest
in regards.
with the under the regard, so their daughter watches dogs, and I believe that competition is a factor that's playing in this. And I don't.
Just to-
I don't understand what all these things are coming for the 13-foot variance.
Yeah,
What
so-
we're building, we're getting water.
And to answer that question, Joe is an engineer.
Joe is, and I was gonna mention that, so
And we have
yes,
plans for that.
Joe is a
With
licensed
all the
engineer.
plans.
Irrespective of their property, the question that I wanted answered was, or of the purpose of their property, I should say. I wanted an answer on what, and that's what he gave us, was were they connected to the sewer or not? So that answers that question. That, you know, aside from your ultimate end use purpose for the building, like I've said before. So I think what is best, as long as the board agrees with it, is to table this for right now and to reconvene on this once we receive stuff back from Mr. Mastriani. And we'll do that on the January or January. It's because it was cold yesterday. My brain thinks it's winter still, June 15th.
Depending on what his report says, if it has to go to Onondaga County.
Yes.
It may be longer than that.
Yes, so we will add that stipulation into is if due to what he finds out, it needs to go back to the Onondaga County Planning Board, then that would obviously extend it out because they meet and we'd have to wait until after they had met.
So there won't be any decision in June 15th, there won't be, that you guys won't have a decision by recommendations.
With, so there's two options right now. We could certainly make a determination based on the information we have, right? Or we could get the rest of the facts that we're asking for and make a more informed decision. So that's,
I just
we
didn't
can do
know.
it either, we can do it either way. We could make a decision right now based on the fact that Onondaga County is telling us that you need a hook to a septic
Right, I
or a
didn't.
sewer, I mean. Or we could get we could answer the questions that this board has on the June 15th meeting.
Right, but if you get the information before June 15th, then you guys look at it, but you won't, right? You're just saying that. at
No,
June
we'll get
15th.
it, as soon as he gets it, it'll go right out to the board and they'll have the ability to review it.
Okay.
And from
I'm
there,
just trying to understand.
what Debbie's pointed out is a good point, though, is if there is something in there that comes back from Mr. Taylor, one of them, where it does have to revert back to the Onondaga County Planning Board, that's beyond our control. That would be something that, you know, if they,
What would make it have to go back to them?
I don't know until I see it.
yeah. We're,
That's up to them.
I'm just asking, I just don't. understand.
we're trying to take into consideration all the alternatives that could happen, right? Because the one thing we don't want to do is we could keep doing this and drag it out and it could be next spring and we're still talking about it, right? And we don't want, none of us want that, right? So if we can get the answers and we can move forward, then we can make an informed decision. And then from that point, you know, we know what Onondaga County is recommending, we know what their standards are, and then we can go from there. Ryan.
So ultimately, if we have to do septic, we don't, or the sewer, we don't have to sit in front of you guys because.
Yeah, if you,
Right, and but if they say there's an option that it may be too expensive, then we have to come back and actually sit in front of you to see if you will give it to us.
if you move forward as it is right now with the raised bed system, right?
Right.
Because of the requirement for the square footage, okay? You would be required that 200-foot frontage and the variance would still be required. If you said, you know what, we're just gonna move forward right now. If you said, hey, we're gonna move forward with the sewer and move forward with the project, the variance wouldn't be required. You'd go to 150-foot frontage. And it would go back before the planning board. Okay.
Right.
Did I misrepresent that in any way, anyone?
No.
Okay, I just want to make sure. So.
Yeah.
Variances can be confusing and oftentimes frustrating, and I apologize, but we want to make sure that we make informed decisions that are appropriate.
Amen.
So.
You want to, do we make a motion on that?
Well, we're gonna keep the public
No,
hearing.
we're
We're just keeping the public
hearing.
hearing open
Yeah.
and going, right?
We're
Okay.
just gonna go. Past your bedtime.
Well, I think-
It is.
All right, so any other comments on that before I move to the next agenda item?
So that's agenda item.
Thank you. The next,
Thank you.
the next agenda item is adjournment,
Oh,
unless there's any other business. All right, may I get a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion.
Warren,
Second.
Claire, that was enthusiastic, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. You.